My name is Mark Rivers. I'm 35. And last week, I walked into a glass-walled boardroom, looked across a table full of high-powered executives, and smiled. Because one of those faces, frozen in disbelief, was the same woman who once told me I'd never make it without her. She left me 2 years ago. Said she got an offer she couldn't refuse. Told me she needed space, time to grow, that I should understand her ambition. I did. I understood it perfectly. Back then, I was just a guy with a laptop, chasing a dream no one believed in. She was moving to the city for her dream job at some sleek tech firm. She didn't even ask if I wanted to come with her. She just packed her bags, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "Don't wait for me, Mark. The world's moving fast." And move fast it did. One day I was building apps in my best friend's garage. The next, I was watching her post champagne brunches with her new coworkers, the same people who used to laugh at my LinkedIn posts. People who said, "Your boyfriend's still freelancing?" Yeah, I was freelancing. Freelancing a software platform that now runs 40% of their back end without them even knowing. I don't come from much. Born and raised in a 2-bedroom house outside Denver. My dad was a mechanic. My mom cleaned houses. They taught me 2 things. Never take shortcuts. And if someone walks out on you, let them walk. But make sure the door they use becomes the wall they can't climb later. So when I sat in that boardroom, 3 years later, wearing a tailored suit, holding the final acquisition documents, I didn't need revenge. I just needed closure. And the best part? She didn't even know who was behind the deal. Not until I pushed the folder toward her and said, "Don't worry, Ashley. I believe in ambition too." She blinked twice. Then her hand started to shake. Because she realized the company she left me for? Yeah. I own it now. Ashley and I met in college. She was majoring in marketing. I was buried in computer science and algorithms. She used to tease me about my hoodie collection, saying I looked like I was perpetually one caffeine crash away from collapsing. I'd smile, hand her my energy drink, and tell her, "One day this brain is going to build something that'll change lives." She always said she believed in me. Or maybe she just liked saying it because it sounded romantic. For a long time, things felt solid. We moved into a small apartment together after graduation. The place was a dump, the kind where you had to jiggle the kitchen light 3 times to make it work, and the shower only had 2 temperatures, boiling or freezing. But it was ours. We had late-night ramen dinners on the floor, made weekend goals on whiteboards, and kept a shared dream journal we called The Manifest. Hers was filled with magazine editorials, luxury apartments, Chanel bags. Mine had sketches of apps, product ideas, pitch decks, and notes from failed investor calls. 2 very different dreams. But back then, we believed we could build both together. Then the cracks started showing. Small at first. She'd complain about my lack of urgency, that I wasn't thinking big enough. I was hustling 18 hours a day trying to make this AI platform work, but because I wasn't wearing a suit or commuting to some glass tower, she felt like I wasn't doing enough. I could feel her pulling away, even as we sat on the same couch. She'd come home excited about her colleagues, their bonuses, their networking events. Meanwhile, I was losing sleep over a bug in my code and wondering how to pay AWS next month. Then one day, she told me she had an interview with Novex Tech, one of the fastest-growing SaaS companies in the country. She was ecstatic. Said this was the kind of role she'd always dreamed of. 6 figures, corporate travel, private events. It meant relocating to San Francisco. I remember standing in the kitchen, holding a spatula, flipping eggs while she spun around the living room rehearsing her pitch. I asked, "Should we talk about how we'd make the move work? You and me, I mean?" She paused, just for a second, and said, "Let's not complicate this. I need to do this for me. You understand, right?" I nodded. But something in me cracked that morning. It wasn't just about the job. It was that she didn't even ask me to come. Not once. As if my life didn't even factor into the equation anymore. She got the offer a week later. Packed in too. And on her last night in Denver, we didn't even have dinner. She said goodbye in the driveway. One of those half-hearted hugs where you feel the other person already letting go. After she left, I kept telling myself she'd come back. That she just needed time. That once she saw how much I was willing to fight for us, she'd remember the version of me she used to love. But the calls slowed down. The texts turned cold. And when she stopped replying altogether, I didn't chase her. Instead, I opened the manifest, our dream journal, tore out the pages she wrote, and lit them on fire in the kitchen sink. Then I flipped to a blank page and wrote 5 words. Build it. Don't look back. After she left, I tried not to check her social media. I told myself it wouldn't help, that healing meant looking forward, not backward. But curiosity is a stubborn thing. One night, maybe 2 months later, I found myself scrolling through her Instagram. The transformation was immediate. New city. New friends. New wardrobe. Her captions read like they were ripped from a startup playbook. Grind mode only. Big girl moves. Don't wait for permission. Take it. The pictures were even louder. Rooftop parties. Champagne flutes. Designer bags I knew she couldn't afford on her own. She was living in a way we never could together. And she looked happy. Like I never existed. She stopped following me. Unfriended me. Muted me. Blocked me. I was erased. But I didn't reach out. I got quiet instead. Cold. Focused. I doubled down on the platform I was building. Every day, I wrote code like my life depended on it. I fixed bugs while sitting on a borrowed futon. Skipped meals to save money for server time. Watched YouTube videos at 1.5x speed to learn UI design, because I couldn't afford a designer. Some nights, I'd fall asleep on my keyboard and wake up with HTML imprinted on my cheek. But the product started to take shape. And people were noticing. A few clients here, a testimonial there. Then came a tech blogger who called my app the smartest automation tool you've never heard of. Around that time, a mutual friend from college reached out, someone who still followed both of us. They sent me a video clip from an industry mixer Ashley attended. It was casual, candid, probably filmed for fun. Ashley was standing in a circle, cocktail in hand, and someone asked her, "Didn't your ex try to build a startup or something?" She laughed. Not just a giggle. A deep, performative laugh. "Oh God, yeah," she said. "He was still coding in his pajamas while I was out here signing NDAs. I needed a man, not a project." The circle erupted in laughter. I didn't. I paused the video. Watched it again. Then again. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad. I was still. Hollow. Something inside me clicked. This wasn't about love anymore. Or heartbreak. Or what we used to be. This was about respect. The kind she buried under champagne smiles and LinkedIn posts. And in that moment, I made a decision. I wouldn't respond. I wouldn't call. I wouldn't defend myself to people who never saw the nights I went hungry or the hours I put into building something from scratch. I'd let my work speak. I muted her account, turned off notifications, bought a wall calendar, wrote one word across the top in red sharp. Execute. It was around 2 a.m. I was at my desk, staring at lines of code that refused to cooperate when my phone buzzed. A random notification. Someone had tagged Ashley in a story on a tech networking page. I almost ignored it. I'd muted her months ago, trained myself not to click. But something, maybe instinct, maybe stupidity, made me open it. The video was short. Just a few seconds. It showed her sitting beside a man I recognized immediately, Greg Sanders, VP of Product at Novix Tech. Her boss. The caption read, "Power couple vibes. When you work together and play together." There was a champagne glass in her hand, and Greg's arm casually draped around her shoulder. Comfortable. Familiar. Way more than just coworkers. I didn't feel jealousy. Not anymore. What I felt was confirmation. She didn't just leave me for her dream job. She left me for him. For the guy in the suit who talked in buzzwords and handed out promotions like drink tokens. For someone who could give her status now, instead of standing by someone who was still building their future. It all made sense. The way she stopped calling. The way she packed in silence. The way she said, "Don't wait for me." She never intended to come back. I was just the pit stop, the warm body who supported her when she had nothing, then got discarded when a shinier version came along. I closed the video. Sat there in the dark. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just sat, breathing in slow, measured silence. It was strange how calm I felt. Like I'd been holding my breath for a year, and now, finally exhaled. The world hadn't ended. It had just revealed itself. I stared at the whiteboard in front of me, my messy flowcharts, post-it notes, wireframe sketches. For a brief second, I saw it through her eyes. Maybe it did look pathetic. Maybe to people like her, pajamas and ramen and late-night debugging looked like failure. But what she didn't see, what they never see, is that this kind of failure is the first chapter in every major success story. I didn't get up that night. Didn't sleep either. I opened my terminal, rewrote the back-end pipeline, and by sunrise, I had an optimized version of my platform ready for demo. I sent out 5 cold emails to investors I'd researched weeks earlier. 2 replied. 1 asked for a meeting. That was the moment everything started. Not when she left. Not when I saw the video. But when I chose to respond with work, not words. I didn't build revenge. I built leverage. And the best part? She never saw it coming. That one investor meeting turned into 3. Then 5. Then 10. At first, they all said the same thing. "It's interesting, but a little early. You'll need traction. Love the concept, but not sure the market's ready." I smiled through all of it. Took notes. Tightened the demo. Fixed every flaw they pointed out. Because unlike most people pitching for money, I didn't just want funding. I wanted fuel. I was building something no one else saw yet. A low-code automation platform that could eliminate redundant back-end tasks for mid-sized tech companies. It wasn't flashy, but it was fast. And it worked. Within months, small agencies were quietly onboarding. One SaaS newsletter featured us. Then came the real break. A mid-tier tech blog called Toolstack Digest wrote a piece titled, "Is Riverside the silent giant no one's watching?" That name, Riverside Labs, was mine. No co-founder. No noise. Just me, 5 contractors, and a vision. By the time we hit our first 100 paid users, I was making more than I had at any full-time job. Meanwhile, Novex Tech, the company Ashley left me for, started making mistakes. They overhired, launched a half-baked CRM tool that flopped. Their product reviews went from glowing to clunky and unstable. And ironically, one of their departments unknowingly started using a back-end module powered by my API, licensed through a third-party integrator. They had no idea their infrastructure now relied on me. I watched it all from a distance. Never commented. Never gloated. But I was patient. Because real revenge doesn't look like a punch. It looks like a pen signing $1 million deal in silence. Then came the call that changed everything. An old mentor, Derek Chin, who had exited 2 successful tech startups, reached out after reading about Riversite. He said, "Your platform's lean, powerful. Want to scale it together?" We met, talked numbers, aligned on vision. And 6 months later, we raised a $9 million Series A. Now, I wasn't just surviving. I was scaling. We hired engineers, a full-time ops team, a legal department. I moved into an office downtown, 1 floor above Novex Tech's regional partner. I was at peace, working 16 hours a day, sipping black coffee, and watching the people who once overlooked me suddenly ask for demos. And then, one day during a quarterly check-in, my lead counsel mentioned something casually. "Novex Tech is in trouble. Rumors of internal power struggles. Their valuation dropped 22% this quarter." That's when it hit me. I didn't need to compete with them. I could buy them. Or better, dismantle them. The opportunity came faster than I expected. A VC group reached out, wanting to package Novex Tech in a distressed M&A roll-up deal. They'd over-leveraged themselves during growth, and their leadership, including Greg, her new boyfriend, was desperate to restructure. And here's the beautiful part. The VC group? One of the junior partners used to intern under Derek, my mentor. A few quiet meetings later, they asked, "Would Riverside be interested in absorbing their back-end ops and licensing?" I said no. I wanted it all. I wanted full acquisition, total control. They agreed, stunned at how quickly we moved. Ashley and Greg had no clue who was behind it. To them, it was just another faceless merger by a promising automation startup. We kept my name off the early paperwork. Negotiations moved fast. And within weeks, the company she left me for, the one she built her entire new life around, was mine. The acquisition closed on a Thursday. By Friday morning, my legal team had sent internal notices to Novex Tech's leadership. All department heads were required to attend a mandatory transition meeting Monday at 9 a.m. Ashley was now Director of Brand Strategy. Greg was still VP of Product. Both would be present. Neither knew what was coming. That Monday, I wore the same color shirt I wore the night she left me. Not out of pettiness, out of poetry. I arrived 10 minutes early, standing outside the boardroom as my assistant handed out the revised transition packets. Inside, you could feel the tension thick in the air. Executives whispering. Eyes darting at the new logos on the folders. Ashley was seated near the head of the table, perfectly polished, unreadable expression. Greg was already sweating through his collar. Then the door opened. I walked in. Calm. Quiet. Straight-backed. The room froze. Ashley blinked. Once. Twice. She looked at me like she was trying to place a face from a dream, one she wasn't sure was real. I smiled. "Morning, everyone," I said. "I'm Mark Rivers." founder and CEO of Riverside Labs, now the sole owner of Novex Tech and all its subsidiaries. Dead silence. Greg fumbled with his pen. Ashley's hand clenched the edge of her notebook. I could feel her entire world folding in on itself, memory by memory. I didn't gloat, didn't raise my voice. I just kept speaking, slowly and clearly. This meeting will cover 3 things. 1. Our integration roadmap. 2. Which departments will be consolidated. And 3. Which personnel will be retained. Ashley's knuckles turned white. Greg finally spoke. This is highly irregular. I cut him off gently. Irregular would be you sleeping with a subordinate and funneling resources to projects that lost the company nearly $3.2 million last quarter. I slid a manila folder across the table. That's your exit package. He stared at it like it was a loaded weapon. Security will walk you out in 15 minutes. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. He stood, walked out. No protest. And then I turned to her. Ashley didn't say a word. Her lips parted, as if to speak, but nothing came. Her eyes were glassy now. She looked smaller. Not the woman from the rooftop parties. Not the LinkedIn powerhouse. Just the girl who left a man in sweatpants chasing a dream she couldn't see. Ashley, I said softly, you'll remain during the 90-day transition phase. After that, we'll be restructuring brand strategy completely. She nodded slowly. But I wasn't done. I leaned in, just enough that only she could hear. You didn't break me. You built me. Every silent night, every insult, every skipped call, you lit a fire you couldn't put out. She didn't respond. And I didn't wait. I stood, adjusted my jacket, and addressed the rest of the room. Gentlemen, ladies, welcome to your new future. And with that, I walked out. The only sound behind me was the quiet shuffle of Greg's feet as security escorted him past reception. 6 months later, Novex Tech no longer exists. We dissolved the name, absorbed the tech, and rebuilt the back end from scratch. The flashy branding? Gone. The performative culture? Replaced. The people who added real value, the ones who stayed loyal through chaos, got promoted. Ashley didn't stay past the transition phase. She left quietly. No goodbye email. No farewell party. Just an empty desk, a nameplate in the trash, and silence. I never heard from her again. I didn't need to. By then, I had already moved on, not just from her, but from the version of myself that needed her validation. My mornings looked different now. No alarms. No panic. No proving. Just coffee on the balcony, soft jazz in the background, and emails I actually enjoy reading. Riverside now powers over 200 startups and mid-sized companies across 3 continents. We're not flashy. We're just real. Built on quiet nights, consistent work, and lessons that cost more than money. And me? I'm good. I own my time. I own my story. Sometimes I drive past that old apartment, the one with the janky light and the broken shower. And I remember 2 kids writing dreams on a whiteboard like the world was ours for the taking. And I smile. Because even though she walked away, even though she laughed, she gave me something I'll never forget. Fuel? You see, some people leave to hurt you. But what they don't realize is, the silence they leave behind becomes the blueprint you build your empire on. She took everything, except my soul. And from that, I rebuilt my life. Not for her. Not for revenge. But for me. If you've ever been counted out. If someone left you when you needed them most. Let this be your reminder. Your comeback doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be real. Oncoming Fist Medium Skin Tone. Subscribe for more true revenge stories like this. New ones drop every week.